More teams, more play. Welcome to the 15th season of Quiz Kids.
It's the Bay Area Quiz Kids. And now, the best host on the West Coast, Brad Friedman.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to be back for a new season and some big changes, but always we have these terrific teams of students from the Bay Area, and I'd like to introduce our first two teams to you now. First of all, we have the Sacred Heart Gators.
Katie Lim.
Selby Sturzneger.
David Ferranti.
And they're taking on the Mountain View Spartans.
Kevin Chan.
Leland Lee.
Deo Joshi.
Welcome, teams. We're going to start the game with a three-for-all round, and it goes like this. I'll ask a 10-point toss-up question. The first team to buzz in gets control, and if you give me the correct answer, you will get a second question worth 25 points, and perhaps a third question worth 50 points, okay? Good luck to both teams. Here is the first toss-up question. The Little Match Girl, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, and The Little Mermaid were all written by what Scandinavian teller of fairy tales? Kevin.
Roald Dahl.
No, I'm sorry. You can steal, Sacred Heart, which means you can talk it over for a moment and... Selby?
We don't know, sorry.
It was Hans Christian Andersen. Here's your next toss-up. As a third-party candidate, he split the Republican vote and helped Woodrow Wilson defeat William Howard Taft. Who was this 1912 David?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Correct. For 25 points, he first won the White House in 1884. Who defeated Benjamin Harrison in 1892 to reclaim the White House?
Grover Cleveland.
Right. For 50 points, though defeated by William Henry Harrison in 1840, who returned as the Free Soil candidate in 1848 when he got 10% of the vote?
William Jennings Bryan.
No, it was Martin Van Buren. Well, you've got 25 points, and here's your next toss-up. This chemist named the element polonium after the land of her birth. Who shared the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics? David.
Marie Curie.
That is correct. For 25 points, who won a chemistry Nobel for the nature of chemical bonds and a peace prize for campaigning against nuclear weapons?
Fermi.
Sorry?
Enrico Fermi.
No, I'm sorry, it was Linus Pauling. You have 35 points. In 1949, this nation gained independence from the Dutch. Which country, comprised of more than 17,000 islands, has the world's largest Islamic? David.
Indonesia.
That is correct. Indonesia shares what third largest island in the world with the Sultanate of Brunei and Malaysia?
Sumatra.
No, it's Borneo. Next toss-up. Pahoehoe and a'a are Hawaiian words for this substance. Kevin.
Lava.
That is right. When molten rock is still underground, it is known by what term?
Magma.
Correct. For 50 points, a collapsing magma chamber can create what feature named from the Spanish for cooking pot?
Caldera.
Caldera is correct. You get 50 points. This poet compared his soul to an arachnid in a noiseless, patient spider. Which author of Song of Myself also wrote When Lilacs Last? David?
Emerson.
No. Wrote When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed. Mountain View, you can check it out with each other?
Thoreau.
No, Walt Whitman. William Wilberforce campaigned for this cause in the British Empire. What movement was completed in the U.S. with the 1865 ratification of a constitutional amendment? Yes, David.
Abolitionism.
Correct. What is the number of that amendment that states neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States?
13th.
Correct. And for 50 points, who was the Massachusetts publisher who rejected the idea of gradual abolition in his anti-slavery newspaper, The Liberator?
Garrison.
You've got 50 points. It's 95 to 50 in the next toss-up. In 1997, his uniform number was retired throughout Major League Baseball. David.
Mariano Rivera.
No, I'm sorry. Number 42 was worn by which pioneering African-American Brooklyn Dodger?
Jackie Robinson.
You got it. For 25 points, in which novel does a supercomputer offer 42 as the answer to a question about the ultimate meaning of life, the universe, and everything?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Correct. For 50 points, in which book of the Bible is it prophesied that the beast will hold dominion over the earth for 42 months?
16.
No, the least fun book is the Book of Revelation. In the 12th century, this city became the capital of the Fatimid Caliphate. Tahrir Square is located in which most... Yes, Kevin?
Cairo?
Correct. From Cairo, you can travel to which plateau in order to visit the Great Pyramid?
Giza Plateau.
That is right for 25 points. And for 50 points, pharaohs were entombed in pyramids, but lesser officials were entombed in what flat-topped structures? You can talk it over.
Mounds.
Mastabas. Mastabas. In Greek mythology, the region of Lycia was ravaged by a creature with lion, goat, and snake heads. Yes, David?
The Chimera.
That is correct. The Chimera was defeated by which hero with the help of his winged steed, Pegasus?
Bellerophon. Bellerophon.
Correct. And for 50 points, the Chimera was the daughter of Typhon and which half-woman, half-snake who also gave birth to Cerberus?
Echidna.
You got 50 points. Next toss-up. This phylum of invertebrate animals is characterized by exoskeletons and jointed appendages. Yes, David?
Arthropoda.
Correct. The order Lepidoptera includes what insects, 2 species of which include the yellow swallowtail and the monarch?
Butterfly.
That is right. A butterfly creates a chrysalis in what developmental stage between caterpillar and adult?
Metamorphosis.
No, we're looking for the word pupa. Pupa. Which Russian czar freed the serfs and sold Alaska to the U.S.? Leland.
Alexander II.
Correct. A short-lived CBS sitcom shared its name with what awful czar whose reign ended in 1584?
Ivan the Terrible.
Correct. And for 50 points, traditional scribes must have thought Ivan to be terrible because he introduced what technology to Russia?
Printing press.
You got 50 points. And that is the end of the round. 150 for Mountain View, 170 for Sacred Heart. We'll be right back.
Once again, here's Brad.
Let's give a big hand for the coaches of both these terrific teams. First of all, from Sacred Heart, Mr. Kevin Morris. And from Mountain View, Miss Sarah Macway. Thank you so much, coaches, for all you do. Let's move to the lightning round. See who's going to win this first game. I will put 3 minutes on the clock. The questions are worth 30 points. And the clock will start when I ask the first question. We have 170 for Sacred Heart, 150 to Mountain View. It's been a close game. Let's see who comes out the victor this first time around. Good luck to both teams, and here we go. One of its hippest neighborhoods goes by the acronym Dumbo. Which New York City borough includes Bensonhurst, Prospect Heights, and Coney Island? Kevin.
Brooklyn?
That's right. This region was named for a man who proposed splitting California in half. What 1854 purchase was intended for a southern transcontinental railroad? Selby.
The Gadsden Purchase?
Correct. His hunger strike at Yerwada jail led to the Puna Pact. Truth Force was promoted by what nonviolent advocate of Indian independence? Deo.
Gandhi.
That is right. Lewis Swift and Horace Tuttle discovered one associated with the Perseid meteor shower. Fred Whipple's dirty snowball model describes what objects with visible... Yes, Kevin.
Comets?
Right. Its highest point, Mount Kinabalu, is in the Malaysian state of Sabah. What mostly Indonesian island is also home to Brunei? Kevin.
Borneo?
Right. Its north bank contains the city of Brazzaville. What's the second longest river in Africa? Kevin.
Congo?
Correct. He edited the Ems Dispatch. Who was this Iron Chancellor who helped unify Germany? Leland.
Bismarck.
That's correct. This function's hyperbolic version is e to the x minus e to the minus x all over 2. Which trigonometric function can be stated as opposite over hypotenuse? Katie.
Sine.
Correct. Hap Arnold was entitled to 5 of these, as were Chester W. Nimitz and Omar Bradley. What military insignia distinguishes... Leland.
Medal of Honor.
No. What military insignia distinguishes ranks of generals? You can talk it over.
Star?
Right. Its landscape includes a winding road, and its subject has no eyebrows. Name this portrait of a woman with a mysterious smile. Yes, Kevin.
Mona Lisa?
Right. He used a pin factory to illustrate gains from division of labor. Which thinker who believes selfish motivations can guide an economy toward prosperity wrote The Wealth of Nations? Leland.
Adam Smith.
Right. This state lends its name to the most recent glacial period in North America. Oshkosh, Madison, and Milwaukee are all citizens. Yes, Kevin.
Wisconsin.
That is right. Our cities in what state? First played in Persia, it uses a bamboo ball struck by long mallets. What sport is divided? Yes, David.
Croquet.
No. What sport is divided into 7.5-minute periods known as chukkers? You can talk it over.
Cricket.
Polo. His principle states that at a given temperature and pressure, equal volumes of any gas contain the same number of molecules. Identify this chemist whose, yes, Leland.
Boyle.
No, whose namesake constant is about 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd items per mole.
Avogadro's number.
That is right. Fluorine has a value of almost 4 for this quantity. What do we call the tendency for... That's the end of the game. 290 for Sacred Heart. With 420, Mountain View wins this game. Congratulations to both teams, and we'll see you both next week. And we'll be right back with another round and 2 great teams. Don't go away. Welcome back to the second half of Quiz Kids. We have a second match for you. 2 great teams. Let me introduce them. First over here, we have the Hillsdale Knights.
Alan Brilliant.
Grace Bauer.
Joseph Nell.
And they're taking on the Harker Eagles.
Brian Tuan.
Stephanie Chen.
Nikhil Dillip.
Welcome, teams. And we'll start, of course, with our 3-for-all. I'll ask you your first 10-point toss-up question. If you get it correct, you will get the control of the game for the next couple of questions. So good luck to both teams. He was chosen leader at a 1206 gathering at the Onan River, according to the secret history of his reign. Who's that 13th century Khan who fought Imperial China and conquered much of Central Asia? Yes, Brian.
Genghis Khan.
Correct. For 25 points, Genghis ruled which nomadic people who established the Yuan dynasty after conquering China?
The Mongols.
Correct. For 50 points, Marco Polo visited the court of which grandson of Genghis who ruled the Mongol Empire until 1294?
Kublai Khan.
You got 50 points. At the end of this book, Sidney Carton takes Charles Darnay's place. Nikhil.
Tale of Two Cities.
Correct. John Proctor, Rebecca Nurse, and Martha Corey are hanged for witchcraft in which Arthur Miller play?
Crucible.
The Crucible.
Correct. For 50 points, there's a museum dedicated to him in Prague. Who wrote about the execution of bank employee Joseph K. in the trial?
Kafka.
You got 50 points. Franz Kafka. Next toss-up. This series of 85 essays was written to convince New Yorkers to ratify the Constitution. Nikhil.
The Federalist Papers.
Correct. The Federalist Papers were written by James Madison, John Jay, and which future Treasury Secretary?
Hamilton.
Right. The Federalist Papers were a response to which anti-Federalist attacks on the Constitution? It was George Clinton. The 1839 Durham Report advocated self-government for this nation. What North American nation was divided into upper and lower British colonies on the St. Lawrence River? Brian.
Canada.
Yes. Canada became a united confederation after an 1864 conference at Charlottetown, the capital of which province?
Alberta.
Newfoundland. Okay, go for it.
Alberta.
No, Prince Edward Island. And there are neighbors, folks. There are neighbors. This class of chemical reactions have a negative value for delta H. Yes, Nikhil.
Exothermic.
Correct. To determine if a reaction is exothermic, you can perform it in what kind of bomb that measures heat flow and temperature changes?
Calorimeter.
That is right. The joule, the BTU, and the calorie are all units of measurement of what total energy of a thermodynamic system?
Yeah. Heat.
No, enthalpy. It was commissioned by Vespasian and named for a great statue of Nero. What Roman landmark commission could be filled with water for mock naval battles? Brian.
The Colosseum.
Correct. Speaking of water, Rome had 11 of what artificial channels that brought water to the city from as far as 57 miles away?
Aqueduct.
Right. Which largest chariot racing stadium or circus could hold 250,000 people?
Circus Maximus.
You got 50 points. I know Hillsdale wants to get on the board. Let's see if this helps you. The hormones oxytocin, vasopressin, and growth hormone have a common source. Yes, Stephanie?
Pituitary.
That is right. The pituitary is what kind of gland that, unlike exocrine glands, releases hormones directly into the blood?
Endocrine.
Yes. For 50 points, the pituitary is a small protrusion at the bottom of which part of the brain that regulates circadian rhythms?
Hypothalamus.
You got 50 points. Trace amounts of boron in its crystal structure make it appear blue. In 1958, jeweler Harry Winston donated what gem to the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History? Stephanie?
Hope sapphire.
No, you may steal.
Hope diamond.
It's the Hope Diamond. What's the two-word term for a collection of household items that a young woman accumulates in anticipation of marriage?
Something dowry. Dowry? I don't know 2 words.
No, we were actually on a theme here, which would have made clear it's a hope chest.
Okay.
The hope chest. The third one was hope for the best, but we won't, so we'll move on. He was jailed for refusing to pay taxes during the Mexican War. Which transcendentalist wrote on themes of nature and solitude in Civil Disobedience and Walden? Nikhil.
Thoreau.
Right. Which other transcendentalist wrote The American Scholar, Conquered Him, and Self-Reliance?
Emerson.
Wouldn't it be nice if there were like 20 transcendentalists? We could have more questions. Which early feminist wrote Woman in the 19th Century, but is best known for editing The Dial?
Daddy for dad. No.
That was Margaret Fuller. The Obsidian Cliffs and Grand Prismatic Spring are landmarks here. Which national park on the Wyoming-Montana border? Yes, Stephanie.
Yellowstone.
Right, where Old Faithful lives. Which Oregon National Park's main attraction is an ultra-clear, 2,000-foot deep lake in the wreckage of Mount Mazama?
Crater Lake.
Right. Which park in the Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas attracts visitors who want to soak in therapeutic waters?
Natural springs.
Natural Springs.
It's the Hot Springs National Park.
Close enough.
It became the 28th EU member in July. Which Balkan state has its capital at Zagreb? Yes, Stephanie?
Croatia.
Correct. Which recently admitted EU member was once ruled by dictator Nicolae Ceausescu?
That's Romania or Hungary or something. Romania.
Right. Which treaty created the current European Union and led to the creation of the euro?
Name the city.
Treaty of Paris.
It's the Maastricht Treaty. They can perform research and draft documents, but they may not counsel clients. What do we call these lawyers' assistants? Stephanie.
Paralegals.
Right. Chief Justice John Robert worked in what assistive capacity for his predecessor, William Rehnquist?
Clerk.
Yes, he was a law clerk. What kind of British lawyer works directly with the client and may retain a barrister to provide courtroom arguments?
I'm sure that was in Tale of Two Cities. Attorney.
That would be a solicitor. And that is the end of the round. 360 for Harker, 10 points for Hillsdale. Let's see if Hillsdale will catch up when we return.
And now it's time to meet the Quiz Kids. Once again, here's Brad.
Welcome back. We've met the Quiz Kids, but we're going to meet their coaches. Here we have from Hillsdale, Mr. Ethan Stewart. And one of the longest Quiz Kids I've ever met, Mr. Bradley Stoll from Harker. Thank you, coaches, for all you do. All right, Harker has a very commanding lead, so Hillsdale, it's up to you to score really well. I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. The questions are worth 30 points, and the clock will start when I begin reading the first question. Good luck to both teams. Here we go. This limestone monolith occupied by Barbary macaques is one of the Pillars of Hercules. What is this British-controlled promontory at the southern end of the Iberian Peninsula? Stephanie.
Gibraltar? Gibraltar?
That's right,
Sorry.
Gibraltar. She was the basis for Ida Bell Tompkins in Other Voices, Other Rooms, a work by her childhood friend, Truman Capote. Who was this author of To Kill a Mockingbird? Nikhil.
Harper Lee.
Right. Microwaves emitted 380,000 years after this event were detected by the WMAP satellite. A TV series includes, yes, Stephanie?
The Big Bang.
Right. An investigation into it was presented in the Lawson Report. Lada's Fountain is the site of an annual commemoration of what San Francisco event? Nikhil.
The 1906 earthquake.
Correct. Isola Curry stabbed this author of Stride Toward Freedom with a letter opener. Which co-founder of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference gave the 1963 Stephanie?
Martin Luther King Jr.
That is right. For a sphere, this quantity is 4 pi times its radius squared. For a cube, what? Yes, Stephanie.
Surface area.
Right. This educational technique depends on open-ended questions requiring students. Yes, Nikhil.
Socratic method?
Correct. When these objects rotate, frame dragging creates an ergosphere that extends beyond its event horizon. What do we call? Yes, Brian.
Black hole.
Right. She sang with Justin Bieber on Beauty and the Beat and with Drake on Moment for Life. Yes, Brian.
Rihanna.
No. The song Starships is by what performer from Trinidad?
Nicki Minaj.
You got it. She worked for the Office of Strategic Services in Ceylon. Meryl Streep played what chef in the 2009 film Julie? Yes, Stephanie.
Julia Child.
Right. Like the related Marburg virus, this virus may be spread by fruit bats. A fatal hemorrhagic fever is, yes, Brian.
Ebola.
Right. This uppermost element in group 12 on the periodic table is primarily used to provide an anti-corrosion coating on steel. Brass consists of copper and what metal with atomic? Yes, Grace.
Zinc.
Right. It is produced by the proton-proton chain in stellar fusion. Which element's most common nucleus is an alpha particle? Brian.
Helium.
Correct. Its leaders intended to enthrone the Princess Elizabeth after the assassination of James I. Guy Fawkes was executed for what 1605 plot to blow up Nikhil?
Gunpowder plot?
Right. This state was governed in the 1930s by a populist known as the Kingfish, Huey Long. What is this state known for its Cajun culture? Nikhil.
Louisiana?
Right. During the Third Servile War, he camped with his followers on Mount Vesuvius after escaping from a gladiator school. The legions of Crassus killed what leader of a slave revolt in ancient Rome? Nikhil.
Spartacus?
Right. In 1993, Kim Campbell became the first woman to hold this office. 24 Sussex Drive is the official residence of what office currently held by Stephen Harper? Stephanie.
Prime Minister of Canada.
That's right. And the game is over and Harker wins. Don't worry too much, Hillsdale. We will see all 4 teams again next week, and we will see you again next week as well. Until then, this is Brad Freeman saying bye-bye.